Good morning, everyone. My name is Felix Nde. I come from Kajiado. A farmer. Actually, I keep local sheep. I've been doing overtime. I'm here to learn about the best practices, quality, and reduction of mortality rate in rams. Thank you.
I'm here to learn and actually get started with livestock farming.
I'm a farmer, ready to begin and learn what I need to do.
I'm a farmer with mixed livestock. Here I'm looking for having the best practices on shaping so as to improve for livestock management.
I'm very different. I'm doing sheep, membership, and now I want to venture into goods.
I'm keeping Gala goats. My interest is nutrition, health, and weight of the animal. I need to learn about that.
Good morning. I'm Edward Monica. She's my partner from Keith County, and we are new farmers looking to get into Doba, mainly for meat market. So we're expecting to understand the meat market, what the meat market expects from us, so that we get it right from the start.
I'm a new farmer. Actually, he was my classmate from when we were 13 years old, since 1978. We were working together. I'm trying to understand the money. I want to make money from this. And a lot of money. I'm not hearing that loudly, the business side of it. How much can I make with what I have? What kind of consultancy is available to come and assess what I'm doing?
Everybody. My name is Kimani. I am from Nairobi. I'm not a farmer by profession, but it is a side thing that I'm trying to get into. So I'm very curious to see how all these great minds here will brainstorm and get directly involved in the actual production and export of the meat. And of course, I'm also very interested in the yogurt. I've got a small herd, about 30 animals, and I'm just trying to learn as much as I can to do it right from the beginning. It's nice to be here.
It's an interactive session, so just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you've done, what you have learned here, what do you think can be done better, and what you can do for farmers. Then farmers will be able to ask questions.
My name is Justus Sila. I work with Equity Bank Machakos branch, and we are happy to be here. One thing I must say is there are some things which happen daily. Since we woke up, we had breakfast. Sindio? At 10, we had 10 o'clock tea. We have just had our lunch. Maybe before we leave, there will be something. Where does that come from? It's from the farm, from the farmer. So one place where the business never ends or the business never stops, one place where money is always coming through is in the farm. If we can go back to the corona period, 2020, when most of the industries were closing, when most of the businesses were shutting, farming was still going on. Because yote tisa la kumi, people have to eat. So this to tell us there's huge opportunities in farming, and we really need to exploit them. We need to just change our ways of doing what we do and freak that money out. I've been following the discussion since I joined, and apologies we came in a bit late. it's just a question of changing what we do. It's just in our Greek language, that is a kamba. When you go hunting and you are not able to kill, you change the qualulota. I don't know how to translate that one. You change your bow and arrow. So if you have been farming and you have not been eating your potential, you have not been getting to your potential, the message today, I believe, is just change the tactics. Our friend there was very focal. Now he's trying to make sure he maximizes on the crossbreeds and the rest. So if today we do that, then we shall be making money. More money. Actually, we are making money. The issue is making more money. Now, when you are making money, you have to have money to make money. And that is the point equity comes in as a financial partner. As a partner in this journey. One, Equity Bank is regulated by Central Bank of Kenya. Equity Bank has 5 subsidiaries. That is Southern Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and of late DRC Congo. In the country, we have more than 200 branches, supported by over 5,000 agents. So that tells us our feasibility is almost at your doorstep, and we are ready to partner with you. When it comes to farming, we've really partnered with farmers individually, corporates, groups to support farming. If you go to check on our EGF, part of the pillars for the EGF is agriculture, and we do it in a big way. When it comes to the mainstream banking, we are banking farmers and we are financing farmers. The icing of the cake is that farmers, they are those who have regular incomes, like milk farmers. So you are milking daily. So every day you are interacting with the money. There are those who are doing large-scale production of things like tomato, onions, whereby the incomes are irregular. I invest now to get money after 6 months. I invest now to make money after 8 months. The production cycle, that's what I'm referring to. We structure our product such that tukikupatia pesa saa hii, you will not go the following month, we shall not hear phone calls, ama we shall not demand payments in a month's time. We structure the facility that it will confirm or it will harmonize with your cash flows. If you are doing large-scale production of onion, you have invested now, only to reap after 5 months. We structure the repayment cycle of the loan to go with the cycle of the crop you are producing or whatever you are doing. So farmers, we have a special way of structuring your payments such that you have ease, you have peace of doing business, you have peace of production. If you are doing eggs and your first flock will start doing commercial production in 5 months, we give you a loan, then after 5 months is when you start your payments, when you start getting your eggs to the market. If you are fattening steers, if you are importing those boars and the rest, and you expect that the first commercial production will be in 4 months, then we structure the loans such that in the intervening period of 3 months, 4 months, you are at peace. Then when you start getting to the market, you are produced to the market, now at that point you can offset the loan. Now, narrowing down to this issue of goat production, we can intervene at various levels. Most of us here are farmers, yes. The others who are somewhere in the value chain, maybe they are transporters here. See, hizo buzi lazima zipelekwe sokoni. So you have to get the goats to the slaughterhouse and the carcass or the meat have to find their way to the shelves and the rest. There are those who are in the transportation business. There are those who are in the storage business. There are those who own the outlets whereby this meat is sold. There are those who are doing the export. So in the whole value chain production, we support different players. If it's the fat guy, if it's the agro-stockist, that the agro-vets, we support the whole value chain such that there's no breakdown. There's no at one point that somebody is not able to deliver because somewhere there is some deficiency of such or deficiency of some services because of lack of financials. So when you are looking at all these, right from importation, we can support, just like we bought goods for people, just like we bought assets, vehicles, medical equipment. We can do also importation of those goods. Like a typical way we do importation is, Gary does LPO. He confirms he can deliver 1,000 units. If he confirms he can deliver 1,000 units, the individual buyers walk to the bank. You make arrangement with your bank that when Gary gets us these 1,000 units to Kenya, pay him. At that point, now Gary is off the hook. He has delivered the goods as required. We have paid him. Now we are left with you. You go, you do your fattening, you go, whatever you do. When it is ready to get into the market, now you start paying us loan. We have such frameworks, and we are working closely with Henry. When you have your, is it a circle or union now? An association working, when you have it up and running, we are able to come in and we are able to support it right from importation up to the market. Those who are exporting, those who are having sales point, that is the people who are selling the meat when it is already dead, we still support you. So for this one, is a noble idea, and it is a space we cannot be equal to the opportunities. That is the demand. The demand will always be there. I remember one of my customers in one of my branches. That guy was doing egg production. He was just doing 2-3 markets in Kitui Rural, and he was not able to satisfy the demand. He recruited 2 more farmers to do egg production, and they were still not able to meet the demand. Himself, he was getting to the market like thrice a week, but still the demand was there. What am I saying? The demand is so huge for us to satisfy. So we just need to come together, pull together, support each other, come to the bank, and we see how we can do. Now, those who are not from Machakos, I'm sure wherever you are, there's an Equity Bank nearest to you. When you visit them, we can have a conversation from that end, and then we disseminate the information on the whole process of this thing we're having today. Because I'm sure some of us could be asking, I'm from Murang'a, I'm from Nyanza, I'm from Tanzania. How will I benefit? Whatever will develop here, we shall be communicated across board such that everybody can be supported by the branch nearest to him or her as a farmer. Talking of insurance, there are so many risks which are bound in this whole process. From production, from those who are storing, those who are processing, and the rest. At each level, you'll always find there is an insurance policy that can help you. Whether it is when the goods are in the farm, whether you have processed, you are selling, and the rest. There's always a premium and an insurance policy that will always cover you. But one thing I want to remind all of us, in production, especially in the farm, when you do those vaccination and the rest, if you have not been keeping proper documentation, it's very important. Because when these guys come, they want to see, was vaccination done? Was the due process followed? Even in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, for those who are believers, or those who are believe in Christianity, the Bible says, and the books will be opened, isn't it? So, which records will be opened if you don't have those records? If insurance guys come to you and they want to see whether you have been taking care of these goods in the expected way, in the professional way, how will they know when there are no records? There was a hot debate about feds, quack feds and the rest. Please, when you are looking for these feds, also demand they produce their credentials. Hello? Demand that the feds produce their credentials. Kama hana certificates, why deal with him more? You are risking your money. This is investment. So when you are going for those feds, please demand them. They produce their credentials. Some of them have to renew their licenses, operating licenses, I think, annually. Have they renewed? Because you're also looking at a way, if somebody gives you a bad service, you're able to recoup your money. But if you deal with somebody who is paperless, whom you cannot track, then it also becomes a risk in itself. And then if we have to make this money, we have to be prudent in managing these risks. I think I've said what I wanted to say. When it comes to loans, I'm sure we have done loans. Loans are only based on your ability. And your ability is always manifested in your cash flows. I have salary. So my cash flow is every month I'm getting some salary. So if I have to go for a loan, I'll base that loan on the amount of money. Because the salaries are also different. There's somebody earning 5 million, others earning 200,000, others earning 700, 1.5. So my cash flow, if my cash flow is salary, the bank will look at me as a employed person. If my cash flow is business, I'm doing rentals. I'm having monthly incomes through rentals. If my cash flow is farming, how is my farming? Am I getting money daily, or is it circles depending on all the cash flows are based on the circles of production. So any commitment, wherever you'll go, always base it on your ability. And your ability is cash flows. That will give you peace of mind. That will give you some motivation to work. Motivation to make sure your production is flowing. I usually relate lending to medicine. When you are sick, you visit the doctor. When you visit the doctor, there is that first room kanaitangwa aje? Triage. Thank you. At the triage, there is a nurse there who will seek to know your BP. Sindio? There is a nurse there who will seek to know your age. There is a nurse there the nurse will seek to know whether you have a chronic ailment, whether some pre-existing conditions you have. The nurse there will want to know whether you have allergies to medicine. And then you'll share that information with the doctor. The next level, you move to the doctor. What does the doctor do? Cross-examines you. How are you feeling? What is the problem? Where is the ache? Why are temperatures high? And the rest. Then the doctor will maybe prescribe some examination to be done on you. After the doctor is able to establish your sickness, then the doctor will go back to those notes by the nurse. What will he be doing with the notes? He'll be seeking to give you the right dose, such that you'll be okay, you'll be healed. So if the doctor overdoses or gives you an overdose, will you survive? Hello? The worst thing is to speak after lunch, when the eyes don't want to open. When the people start praying for others. I think we prayed at the start. We prayed. So let's not pray for others right now. So if the doctor gives you another overdose, you'll not survive. If the doctor gives you another dose, at the same time, you'll not be healed. But if the doctor gives you the right dose, you'll be healed and you'll be up and running. So the same thing with credit. If your bank cannot ascertain your creditworthiness, your ability, it's either the bank will not support you achieve your goal, they will underfund you, or they will overfinance you. And the next thing, you'll be auctioned. That's the bad thing with loans. And loans is not like insurance. To insure this vehicle, the value of 5 million, in case of anything, you get your 5 million. Loan, it's either it will take you to the next level or it will sink you. That's the bad side of the loan. Good loans will make your net worthiness grow. Like, for example, today you start a journey with equity. You have a net worth of 10 million. You get good loan. Tomorrow, you are buying an house. The other day, you are buying an extra shamba out of good loans. So at the end of the journey, your net worthiness is increasing. If the loan is a bad loan, my friend, you'll start selling what you have to redeem yourself, isn't you? So you may join a bank or a financier when your net worth is 10 million and end up being minus. Am I making sense anyway? So it's very important and it's very critical of your financier to understand your cash flows, because it's only cash flows that pay loan. It's not about how much profits you are making. Are the cash flows there? Are you making those sales? Are you getting that money? Because if there's no cash flows, then you are grinding to a halt. There is something I want to say. Maybe in the interest of time.
Sir, thank you so much. I think that everybody, have a very good idea. When you get to the point, you are going to give the rest of the panel each like 1 minute to talk now, just 1 minute. And then you are more than welcome to ask questions. So sorry to interrupt you, but I'm also under pressure from Henry for the timing. Thank you so much. I can really see that you guys, you are prepared.
Maybe any question before we take our leave? Because there's somewhere we are rushing, and that's why I wanted to do a comprehensive knee, because I may not be sitting throughout in the panel. So I'll welcome 2 or 3 questions, so that I'll at the same time share my number, such that we can keep talking.
Yeah. Any questions now, Subra?
I'm just making a general question because these are first-time farmers, and we are experienced. Number one, somebody takes a loan. Let's say Kariuki was going to buy 10 goats from South Africa. Number one, you are saying insurance and loan is different. Of course, Kariuki will give security his house or something, or kama hiyo mbuzi ni security. By bahati mbaya, mbuzi ikufe. Si utabeba Kariuki na kitanda yake aende zake. Number one, I'm asking general question because it's very good to take a loan if you're sick. Secondly, Equity Bank, you've got insurance. So kama unapatia mtu loan, because kuna ugonjwa pia inaweza kuja, I think wakili you can agree, mbuzi zinaweza kuja kufa na ugonjwa ama zinaibiwa. So if you tie loan with insurance, because I know many people, I'm into this, manyumba zenu zinabebwa masofa, hata wewe uko ndani unapigwa mnada.
Thank you. On one, when you are getting a loan, there is that ability which is noted, and you agree with the bank. You can say, this is the security to my loan. But you see, we are not giving loans based on securities. It's based on ability. In case your cash flows are interrupted, like in 2020, when we had Corona, in case your cash flows are interrupted, don't run away from the bank. Visit the bank, have a sit down, a solution will be found. Nobody is after auctioning your property. So anytime you get a loan and your cash flows are interrupted, it's like I'm employed now. If I get a loan and tomorrow I'm long in employment, what do I do? Do I die? You just visit your bank and have a discussion on the way forward. That one solution will always be found. Number 2, all our loans have insurance, such that there's something called credit life premium. Credit life premium is that when you die, God forbid, the balance of the loan is paid by insurance, not your property, not your family, not your next of kin. So our loans have insurance. For companies, we look at the key person in that company. There are some companies find that they are 2 people, but there is a key person. Or it's only 1 director. Currently, it's allowed. We also have insurance for that. You need a key man insurance cover, such that if it's a company of 3 people and the key man is no longer there, the balance of the loan is paid by insurance. Next question. I hope I've answered you. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Guys, if there's any more questions, I would like you to ask the questions. Then we'll go back to the gentleman. Otherwise, it's going to take too much time. So if you can have like 10, let's have all the questions that you have for the gentleman, and then we will ask him to do it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. That was history about equity. I think that was back then. Now, I know this question is quite heavy. You might not be able to answer today, but it might be an area of interest. So, I will say I'll speak on behalf of the farmers. So, one, I had the benefit of 2017 to be part of the team that drafted movable property security rights. I think you are aware of it. The one which you can use tangible and intangible assets. So I can use this chair to access credit. I can use the car to access credit. Now, I love the way you say banking farmers and financing farmers. Now, is there part of your department someone who has expertise in farming? That only, it's not a must to answer. But secondly, the aspect of farming is a moving bank. You said cash flow pays loans. But you see, for a farmer, he has his dividends, which are again his collateral. So if I'm in employment for the last 4 years, and I've been buying 2 goats every month, 2 goats, 2 goats, 2 goats, so by the end of the year, I have like 100 goats. Now, the law allows, the strict reading of the law allows me to use those goats as a cover, as a collateral for the business. So that's why I'm asking, is there possibility? It might not be a straightforward answer. It's just an area, it can be an area for you to look out, because most of us have some gala goats. You can have 50, 100, but you want a boa. If I sell all those 150 galas, if I sell, in a hypothetical sense, just 50, let's say 40 or 30 can enable me to get a boa back from South Africa. So I'm giving you a dynamics from a farmer's perspective rather than cash flow and paying the loans. So now, from a risk compliance as well, I'm a risk and compliance. As the bank, the way you have said, one, personally I use a vet who has a KVA number, and he renews, I check and he renews it. So it should, the question is there a sort of framework allowing livestock farmers, for instance, to be able to use the collateral? If I've bought a boa stud from South Africa, it has the stud registration number, okay? Which is something you can equally cross-check from your internal compliance perspective, that you know this is the value of this particular animal. I've gone further and used a KVA veterinary who is a professional. I've gone further ahead and taken insurance cover against that livestock. Then, in the event I approach the bank still goes back and asks me on a daily income. I'll tell you for sure, daily cash flow. It's a little bit challenging, but I know the Movable Properties Act allows commingled goods, which means I cannot take insurance for my entire goats. But I can say, I have tagged all my goats, but I'm not taking a loan against all my goats. So I have 700 goats, but with the bank, I have taken cover for the livestock, and secondly, they have tags, and if I sell 2 goats, because you cannot say tag number 17 is the one that has taken loan, because that goat can die. But the moment I say it's commingled and say, in this pen, lot A, I have 700, 300 here, 200 there. So, in summary of the question, is there such a similar framework where, or it can be an area of interest to look at? Because the moment you tell someone about going to the bank and taking a loan without using, at least if I can do the insurance and everything, is there a possibility of such a future product? Because I know you will have more clients, because if I can use my chicken, my goats as commingled, then access to credit also will be high. Thank you.
Can I tell you what we do in South Africa? And again, this is under South African conditions, not necessarily it will be the same in this country. You are allowed in South Africa to insure a specific animal. We put a microchip in the animal, as he says, correctly said, the tag can be lost. We put a microchip in, the veterinarian comes to put it in, he gives you a certificate with a number, you pay a monthly premium on that goat until as long as you want. We have all our top breeding bucks are, as I said this morning, we have several owners for some of these boxes. So obviously, you have to insure it. If for some other reason the box should die, you get a 90% payout from the insurance. But in South Africa, they will use that insurance. They will use for a specific animal to secure a loan, because the bank has nothing to lose. 90% of the value will be paid out, and that's it. So the other 10%, obviously, you'll be responsible for, because the bank only, the insurance only pay 90%. Is it working like this? Because he referred to he can insure some of his animals. What I am trying to say, if he brings in an expensive buck, it's also a risk for the bank. But insure it. Then the insurance would cover it if the buck should die in whatever way. This is just what they do for us in South Africa.
Sorry, maybe before we continue, it is not a part of it in terms of access. Myself, I moved from the paying angle with accessing credit, but now we're saying let's be positive enough as well. We cannot just die with the traditional answer. It's not that I'm defending them, but I'm saying if it is you see the way I've approached the question to them, it's an issue of them also thinking towards it, because sometimes lack of the expertise in that niche of farming, for instance, might not be able to help them understand. You see, the moment you're investing in something and they don't have a farm, Equity does not have a farm by itself. So for them to be able to appreciate that aspect, the same way like mobile apps. You have mobile apps by a guy who just wants to make money, but he's not a farmer. So he will put some fields which he's not interested in. He says, I just need to know the name. So
Rolf, can I just ask to cut it short? It's going to become very late here, and some people are in a hurry. So if you can just,
no, that's what I'm saying.
Make the point.
I've just finished. I was saying it's not a battle, so that now you see they're also corporate. They have their own internal controls. So I was just saying a balance. Thank you.
Is there any other questions, or can we give the gentleman a couple of minutes? Yes.
I think because my fellow panelist from Equity was ideally talking about financing, basically, and is one of the major hurdles that we as farmers, be either large or small, are struggling with, because initial start especially is a capital intensive. If you want to scale it, it's capital intensive. You have your herds, you think about feeds. You have feeds, you want to do a bit of animal feeds. Animal feeds require a bit of machinery, pelleting, cutting, and all that. Storage is a cost. We'll come to that. Well, why I picked this microphone is to say, I got a bit of background on development financing, and I'll talk 1 or 2 words about financing that possibly will be palatable to your ears. Thank you.
1 hour, not 2 hours. No, I said to Chris, he only has 1 hour, not 2 hours. William, do you have something to say?
I think what we are facing is that we have financial institutions, and the institutions have already set up departments that claim to be dealing with agriculture. And I have participated in most of these forums, including even being a participant in some of their participation, just to give an input on what farmers are expecting. But sadly enough is that the agricultural financing and the insurance is purely commercial. There is no difference between commercial and agriculture. Because you bear me witness that a loan in agriculture requires a grace period for it to start maturing. So if you look at the period they give, sometimes it's always impractical. If you look at the insurance of animals, and I think you'll take that one for your input, you cannot come and find I have 500 goats and you tell me that you want to insure the 500, and I'm declaring I have an insurable interest on only these 5. That is the only thing. You know, when you have an insurable interest, it means if I lose that animal, I'll have lost. The others, at least, maybe I can have a way I have covered them. So it is very important to segment that. And also making it too complicated. Other countries have moved forward, and you find, even not even other countries, you find even in some sectors, like in horses, dogs. So we need to get better in livestock in terms of cattle, sheep, and goats.
I promised to mention something on finance, and it's a takeaway for the equity team who are here. One thing the farmers don't know, debt definitely is expensive. And if you look at the agri segments of the banks, the segment, the business segments in the bank, the most challenging thing is it's a high risk. And definitely then you will pay a high premium, and you know, whether it's on the loan or on the insurance side. What farmers don't know, there are also alternative funding, alternative financing. One, I visited Gatsby before I started this business and had a meeting with them. Gatsby is South Africa. They are in all the segments. If you look at agricultural finance, their interest is also half the rate. Definitely knowing that the procedure could be longer and other mechanisms inside there. But definitely agribusiness is high risk, and so the interest loaded will always be high. What I think banks have not gotten right is to understand the farmer's need. I can't take a loan today, buy 2 acres, expect to repay that loan in 1 month, while the gestation is 12 months. The same for the milk. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is this. I don't know, for those who possibly don't know about the development finance aspect, there is quite a number of institutions, even within World Bank, within IFC, within African Development Bank, there is agri segments of which have actually, to some extent, even grants. I don't know if anybody has visited AIFA International. If not, they have grants for its startup, especially youth and women. If you go to IFC, they have the segment. African Development Bank have a segment, and their terms are equally great. Why? The reason is they have always a line of credit that is specifically tailored for farmers. So for, let's say, equity, my ask is one. Understand the farmer's need. 2, disrupt that agri segments of the banking and do it differently, because all the banks are doing the same way. So for you to get value and be ahead, like you have been ahead on some of the products, is just to disrupt that agri segment of financing. Finally, the cheapest fund is always funds from friends and families. Okay? Start there, especially for the young ones. I just mentioned, met and talked to them, and they're at the startup point. Always start off with the financing that is family-based, ventures, and so on. But the main thing for me is most of the farmers also will front-load our business enterprises with a lot of cost. You start buying a tractor that will stand there for 1 year after cultivation. You get it? You get a pelleting machine that you use once in a month. So it's a dead stock. So the main thing is for the farmers to pull together. I know I do my pelleting in Kilimambogo because my friend has all the machinery. And a friend, Dan, is there. We did the pelleting together. 1 ton, 1 hour, we took away each several kgs for our young ones. So I think it's all being disruptive in our financing system. Disruptive in the sense that we have to depart from the tradition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. William, do you have something you'd like to add? No. Would you like to to add something? You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. What has been said. Allow me to say one or two things. Number one, we are working with Henry. We are looking at. We are trying to answer you, and the other guy there. We are working on a way we can support farmers according to their cash flows. Cash flows doesn't mean daily incomes. I talked of, you can have onion in the farm, which will go to the market in the next 4 months. So we give you a loan to pay after 4 months when you sell your onion. You are having some steers in the farm you are fattening. That will go in the market after 7 months. We give you a loan to pay after 7 months. That's how we support the farmers. Under EGF, we are supporting farmers even by offering expertise. We have people who are coming to farms under EGF and that Bill of Agriculture to support our farmers. So if you just walk to the nearest branch where you are, you'll be able to get these services. Again, on the issues of high risk and low risk, I know there's a challenge in the insurance industry. Currently, we are not offering insurance in those segments. But the sooner we get a partner who can really help us in these matters of insuring animals because of the crops, and you know the underlying issues in these processes, we can be better support the farmers. But when it comes to the underwriters, they come with their limitations. When they come with their limitations, try to strike a deal, but that's a discussion for another day. For today, we are supporting farmers. Walk to the nearest branch, and this is my mobile number. You can call me anytime, 0763 747 949. 0763 747 949. You just call me, you tell me you are Mbale branch, I'll call somebody there to support you. You call me, you are in Mombasa, I'll call the branch near you to support you. Sawa. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We shall please allow us to leave for another function.
Is there anyone of the panel that would like to add something? You, sir, would you like to add?
Thank you very much, panelists and stakeholders and farmers. Good afternoon. My name is John, and I support in business client advising at Machakos branch. I would want to say that I'm relatively new in the branch, and I'm basically here to support people in business, people in farming, and generally anyone in an economic engagement. For my case is just to commit to the farmers and the panelists that any concern, whether negative, I think is feedback that we have taken positively. We always say that feedback is a breakfast of champions, and we don't feel condemned that we have gotten negative feedback. Is feedback that we must work on, and our commitment is to assure you as farmers and any other person with a concern on any area that we are not doing well, we are weak in one area, we will redefine our way of doing things. That's a commitment we want to give, and we want to assure you that next time we are having such a forum, we'll only be hearing about positives from you. So we are here to work with you in your journey, and as ascribed in our mission, we are here to economically and socially empower you. And that is a commitment I want to make. And please, come to us and try us. And we assure you, we're gonna do it. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Is there any...
How much time do I have?
You have 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
We have heard about financing and insurance, and I speak out of experience. We are on our own as farmers. Go back to your savings, go back to family, go back to friends. That's how you finance your livestock. These gentlemen must go and deal with their policy issues at the foundation. We have heard from Jerry about in South Africa, it's very sector driven. You get a product for
Just
everything.
A moment, guys, please. Just a moment.
So sorry, I'm controversial. Sorry. So
no. You go ahead.
They must just accept it. They must just accept it.
Yeah. So mine was about nutrition, and maybe I missed a little bit about why I'm in feeds. I said I'm not in feeds because I'm a feeds producer. I'm a breeder initially. That was my key interest, but I needed to be self-sustaining, and with not too much vast lands, as I said, like in South Africa, where you have ranches, which are vast. Almost a boer goat is a wild animal there. It's like wildlife. And even sometimes toppers, they come and they are wild, and when we import them, because they have never seen human beings, we do intensive breeding and farming. And of course, to become self-sustaining, I started by initially buying hay. You buy this, you buy the concentrates, you buy the pellets, and I was very disappointed. The feeds market in Kenya is probably next to the banking. So, sorry guys, we'll put pressure until you change.
Yeah, it's
at the. I'll give you an example. There's a product we use for chicken called ochonga. I don't know how many know it. So I bought 3 tons the other day, and I formed a habit of sending every product I get raw material for testing. Unga, they have a 24-hour service. You know what is in it. So I was looking for protein. It turned out to be 21% crude protein. It's supposed to be 47%. So I asked myself, what is the problem? And checking, lo and behold, half of it was sand. I'm telling you, we sifted it. It was sand. Some of these, sometimes you buy maize jam. I can tell you're buying lime a lot of time. Go test the feeds that I've taken liberty to do that. Let me tell you, what we are giving our animals, especially dairy farmers, I feel sorry for you. You are performing at less than 30% of your potential, simply because what you're giving your animal is adulterated. It's just a Kenyan way of doing things. It's so sad. I don't know what to call it. So I started on a journey and saying, what do I do with this? I need to be independent. I need to have enough fodder. I don't have enough land. We irrigated. And now I can confidently say, probably from this season, I don't need to buy any raw material, even for the pelleting, unless there's too much demand on the commercial side where you're selling feeds. You can plant, and that is what I will encourage. You can plant and be dependent. And you plant good and classical fodder. That is what I personally have done. Those who are at liberty to come and see what we do, I'm not saying I perfected it, but we have planted. We started bracharia, we have planted alfalfa or lucerne. We irrigate it. We try to be eco-friendly. We pull water using solar, and then we irrigate using gravity. And then the cost is almost the same as when you would expect rain. And I'll tell you, alfalfa, you harvest it every month. An acre will give you probably 200 bales. And that is very good material or fodder for the small ruminant. I don't know what Jerry will say about that. Then we ask ourselves, what about our pellets? And what you give the concentrates. And they are made of 2 things only, maize and soya. It's energy and protein. And we decided to plant maize, and we have planted soybeans. And I can tell you, we are now independent, and we have processing capacity. That is why we were able to get to be commercial. One mistake I made, sorry to talk a little bit more, and I'm not saying veterinary doctors.
Excuse me, can I just ask you, hold the line. Is there any more questions for these 2 gentlemen with the fancy suits? Because they don't have to sit here. They can go and work out more loans for us. So if there's no more financial questions, then you guys, thank you so much. The rest of the stuff will be more practical, and for us to sort out. You go and sort out the loans, please, and see that you come back tomorrow morning with much better news. I believe there's a quick way solve it by tomorrow morning. We're going to give you a couple of minutes tomorrow morning, and I believe that everything will be sorted. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it.
And we know it's
So
not
we
your
will
fault.
excuse you.
It's not your fault. It's just the structure of the bank. We know that. So you are good gentlemen. You are here with us. But hear us, please. Listen to us. Thank you very much. I've just remembered about a veterinary doctor. Let me tell you, when I go to my doctor, I remember one time I went, akaniambia kitambi yangu iko sio mzuri sana. Then I told him, what do I do? Give me a pill, I reduce it. He told me, no, go see a nutritionist. One mistake we make is that we make the veterinary doctor to be everything. You want him to be your nutritionist, you want him to tell you what you feed the animals, how much you give it. There's something called total mix ratio. Total mix ratio, TMR, that is made up by a nutritionist. That is one area we have not utilized as animal farmers. And I'm learning it the hard way. I remember somebody asking Jerry here, hey, what do I give a rab creep? How much? He said, I won't tell you because it's not for me to tell you. Today, if you ask me, how much pellets, we make pellets, will I give? Somebody asked me that question. And I answered, I said, no, it depends on your TMR and how it's designed by your nutritionist. I'm telling you, if anything, take that home. I've learned it the hard way. Because I've made terrible mistakes. I've paid for it. The banks didn't help me. Animals have died. The insurance didn't come in. And it's learning, and I want to share my mistakes and my successes. And at the end of the day, what we want to give our animal is based on a simple thing called TMR, total mix ratio. And that total mix ratio is part of what you have as your pellets, as your fodder, what the animal grazes out there. And ideally, if you can do yourself a favor or do myself a favor, take it to a laboratory test. To get protein levels for one test is only 1,000 bob. 1,000 at UNGA. Okay, to get energy levels, that is more complicated. You got to spend a little bit more, and the laboratories we can do that a few and far in between, but we know where they are. Contact us, we'll tell you. But it's important you know your total mix ratio. It will just help your animals perform better. I can't say we know everything yet. I only share what I know, but we are in feed out of a need to get away from the crooks and also to be able to be self-sustaining. And you can, I will tell you, if an animal producer, 70% is your feed and 70% is your genetics. You can have the best animal in the world, give it useless food, it will perform like, you never get anywhere. You can have a swara, springbok. Even if you give it pellets and give it anything, it will never get muscles or get meat. So that is it for me, and we can share more. Maybe Jerry has something.
Yes, if I can just add, thank you very much. This is really a valuable contribution. We are so spoiled in South Africa that we don't even know that. What we do when we have any hay or whatever available, we will just, what we will do, we take samples of whatever we have available to our nutritionist. He's 7 kilometers from me. And I'll drop it off there. He's in it, to the lab for analysis. Obviously, I pay for it. And then he will come back with, with a mix that we should mix it. He has done it many times before for my overseas clients and friends. And that is what I think, Henry, when you have this organization like running, you can once a month, I see that you have the facilities here in this country to do the analysis of the raw material. You do it once a month and send him the availability of the raw materials, obviously, and your analysis. He's going to give you in no time, he's going to tell you exactly how you should mix it. Because, apart from the fact that it is very important to be self-sustained, it is also important that you have a balanced diet. You can easily make a mistake with something that you have too much or not enough in your diet, and it can still be expensive because you make a mistake in the balance of the diet. especially when you feed animals for shows or for auctions. You want them to be really look at their best. So what I can offer from my side, if I have those analysis once a month, I will take it to him, and I will tell him, obviously, as it is, there will always be a tail to it. He will sell his concentrates to you, but he will formalize his concentrates according to your availability and according to your analysis. So that is what I can offer. That we have in South Africa, and we really have done it for many countries with pretty good success. Any questions, guys? Any questions? If there's a question, no, you're not allowed to sleep. That is the answer. So if your question is, are we allowed to sleep? No, N-O. Yes, sir.
Just something I need to add. We are very good nutritionists in Kenya, by the way. I know I want to send some of my mixes to South Africa deliberately for purposes of peer review. And specifically because I'll tell you, and it's a question you really need to answer. I've noticed the boer goat is very sensitive. And I've noticed that when they were born, I had winners which I'm working with now, they're about 6-7 months. The crosses are doing far much better than the boer goat. The lambs which were born with them, the doppers, they're adding 3-4 kilos every 2 weeks. But the boer goat is struggling, and they're eating almost the same meal. And I want to understand why. And I just think a boer goat is a very unique animal, and that's the reason why I would want to hear what a nutritionist in South Africa who is experienced with boer goats, what would it have to say about it?
Yes, sir. I will come back to that now. Yes, you first.
Good afternoon. So my question is to you, dear elder. I'd like to know, you mentioned more or less like 4 varieties of feeds that you put into your mixture. Now, there are other feeds that we haven't heard you talk about. For instance, like the pachong, the lusan, the arrowroot leaves, ngwashe, mboga ya ngwashe, okay? Asante, well done. Now, and also the Bomarode grass, okay? These are very nutritious feeds for animals, okay? Have you experimented also on these types of feeds, and what were the results with your animals? Because as far as I'm concerned right now, you haven't reached where you are, and you're using the animals as a way of finding out the best feed for the animals. Yes, I do agree that the Kenya animal feed industry is lacking. That one I'll say it outright. Just like the fertilizer, it's just lacking. Okay, so it will be very informative for you to tell us, have you tried these other types of feeds? What was your experience? What was good? What was bad? And how can we incorporate also in our farms? Because I'm sure right now, your words have encouraged some of us to actually think about uprooting whatever is in the farm and doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, let me make a rejoinder to that question, because I was going to ask something in those lines. Currently, I grow Pakchong, I grow Jankau, I grow Kakamega Giant, Kakamega 1, the giant as well. And I would love to hear if you've tried those as well. And interesting enough, recently I did a test, and the number 1 is Kakamega 1 Giant, followed by Pakchong, and then you have Bracharia all the way down, which is very interesting to see one of our own tested grasses being on the top. It has a very big cane, and it can also make very good fodder when done. But then on top of that is, have you tried this with our Gala goat? And what is the experience? Are you seeing it gaining more weight, than usual, or gaining the weight quicker? Because normally our traditional ones, we graze them naturally. What are we seeing as the difference when we subject them to this total mix ratio? Thank you.
Any more questions, guys? Okay, there's one more.
Okay, thank you for sharing your experience in feeds formulation. My question is on, you elaborate more on TMR. Like for us telephone farmers, we want a straightforward way of feeding where we will tell the farmhand guys, for these type of goats, take these feeds and feed them like this. So do you have like a base formulation for all the goats? Or do you have formulations for each specific goats? Like for example, we have creep feeds that we were told they are supposed to take for 2 months. Then do you have another one for growing stock after they stop creep feeding? Is there a special formulation for flashing, lactation, or how do you handle all those type of goats with their different needs?
Thank you. Are you ready to answer here?
I think maize and soya, you said? Yeah, what is the nutritional value of that? What is a mix?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me do a tally, and you're welcome to come and see the little things we are doing. I always fall back to my good brother here, William, because he comes to my place and we spend a whole night talking about animals and feeds. We have planted, I started with Bomas Rhodes, and now I'm working with Endura Rhodes. And then we did 1,000 trees or shrubs of coriander, and we did a couple of acres of desmodium, which is a replacement and better than sweet potatoes vines. I think desmodium, and let me tell you, the animals love it. They cry when they are eating it. Yeah, I tell you. Yeah, and then of course we have the alfalfa. Why is alfalfa popular? I'll tell you why. Today, every month I'm harvesting it. Every month. Give it enough water. Let me tell you, every month, maybe 5 weeks, maximum 6, you're harvesting it. And, it's a sativa. If you don't know about Lucerne, it's a sativa. And you know what is a sativa, That is a sativa for the animal. And it keeps the animal happy throughout. Yeah? So that's the nutritional values. We have analyzed it and we know what it is. You can never go, let me be a little bit racist. Muzungu knows the white people know what is good. Any dairy farmer who is a Muzungu, what does he have most? Have you ever observed? Lucerne, acres and acres of Lucerne. Why? There's a reason. Because you want to go and take chances with other things.
Maybe it's because they're lazy. It's easy. I can say that because I've decided I'm a white Mafrika. I belong to the Maasai, not to Europe.
And then we have bracharia. That's what we do our hay with. And what else have I not mentioned? We have pak chong. We experimented with it. It's doing very well. We are salvaging it. We have jonko. So all what you have mentioned here, we have planted. But then there's something else. For you to have good pellets, you need energy and you need high protein. And high protein comes from soya. Soya is a water bean. It was invented in China and smarted in America. So, they got very clever with it in America. And I was just tracking the history of soya bean. And it's a wonderful protein.
And then maize, of course. Yellow maize being the best of them. With that, your total mix ratio, you can design. And then let me go to about what do you feed your animals with. And I don't want to be a nutritionist because I'm not one. I am consulting one myself. But what I know is this, something Jerry said, and it's true. What do you have first and foremost? Because what you have in your farm is what a nutritionist will work with. And then he'll tell you, this is what else you can add, which is achievable for you. For us, what we are trying to do is this. We have planted a variety of them so that we have a variety of feeds. And then we see where that takes us. Because to be a breeder is not ordinary, it's not meat production. Breeding is not meat production. You got to have that unique animal which is classy. And you got to feed it what is right. What was the other question? Have I answered all the questions?
Well, actually, the same.
Yeah.
Gala goats, that you feed gala goats with
whatever I have, whatever I've mentioned now, gala goats, my gala goats, especially the crosses, I advocate for the crossing. They are performing better than the boer goats. Imagine. The crosses 50-50, gala and boer. I can tell you anytime right now. They are doing better.
Can I answer that question? We have seen all over the world. There's two comments I would like to make. First is any purebreds, gala purebreds, let it be or boer goats or savannas or whatever, any purebreds, the first generation, especially the first generation, we call it genetic wealth. That is animals. We believe that any animal that you crossbreed, the first generation, it is fantastic. You can't believe your eyes, and they grow that fast because they have the both genes. And I don't know how genetics work, but that is the way it is. So I can believe that, with the crossbreeds, that it is unbelievable how they grow. I would like to make another comment. I'll just tell you a short story. Before COVID, I visited an elderly guy, and his animals are always so beautiful on auctions and in shows and whatever. And I started to ask him, what are you feeding? And he says, let me show you. He was feeding first-grade lucerne, but I'm not talking about first-grade lucerne, with a protein of probably more than 20%. A very good quality. And then he had red water from a dam, where the rainwater. He catches the rainwater in the soil, the dam, and then he fed them that brown water. And I couldn't believe it. There was not a single drop of any maize or whatever. And I trusted the guy because he was elderly guys can also lie. But all I could see was just our far-forward lucerne that he fed, but very good quality lucerne. And his animals were lovely. And I've asked him, did the analysis, did you do any analysis? He said, I can see when it's good. I don't have to go to a lab. I can see when it's good. But it was, to me, I think we underestimate the value of lucerne. And as you said, you cut it every 4 weeks. We go to 5.5 weeks, depending on the weather. But we should never underestimate. But this specific guy, that was, in other words, what he did, the lucerne on its own was balanced enough. Okay, you put the brown water with it, but it was balanced enough, the fresh rainwater that he had quite a big dam and he pumped it out there for the animals. I couldn't believe my eyes. We would use anything that you can think of and with extra vitamins and minerals, oh, damn it, and he showed me you can do it much easier, much easier, just by giving them good quality lucerne. In our area, obviously, what you should understand is that since it's a low rainfall area, there's not a lot of grass, especially if you do not, graze the lucerne. If you only cut it and dry it and make hay, then you can have between 7 and 9 years before you have to replant it. Between 7 and 9 years, because there's not a lot of grass, and but you should not let the animals graze the lucerne, because then obviously the grass starts to come back. But yeah, is there any other questions, guys? Yes. Can you just repeat your question, please? As you can see, I have so many pens and books here with me that I didn't write it down.
Okay, I think my question was on the practicality of the TMR. You have different animals that have different needs. How do you manage that with your farmhand guys? Like, how do you give instructions on the various TMR or the concentrates to give this one? Do you have like a base formulation for all of them? Then those that are lactating, you add like pellets. Those are like, for example, the one that the growing stock immediately after creep feeding, do they have special formulation? And how does it work when giving those instructions to the people giving the feeds at the farm?
I will just quickly tell you what we do, and then the gentleman can also come in here. We have several, actually in my opinion, too many different pellets. We have the creep pellet, as you just said, that we use for little ones. And then they will then go over to the lamb, well, it is actually ewe and lamb, that's what they call it, but let's say doe and lamb. And then we will also use the doe and lamb during lactation, and they put some other ingredient in the pellets for us, just to have to produce more milk, just in that lactation period. Then after that, they will go on a maintenance pellet, which is much cheaper, on a maintenance pellet until they have to come and eat again. You understand? And then when they come and eat, then the flushing we will do again with the ewe and lamb pellets. But if you ask me what the ingredients are and you ask me the formulation, I can't tell you. Because as I said, we are so spoiled that, we just give it to the nutritionist and he formulated. And then, sorry, there's one more. We have a ram booster. That helps a lot to make the males growing faster and bigger. The ram booster, expensive. Now we've got a new, there's something new on the market now. They call it Ram Booster Plus. If you ask me what the difference is between the two, I can only tell you that the second one, there's a PLUS, plus, the name. And another, obviously, 30 Rand more expensive. But there's different feed companies in South Africa, but some people will stand and fall with one company, the others with the other. To me, the proof of the pudding is in eating. But the eating should also go with the cost. I mean, like the gentleman said, they're self-sufficient, guys. They're making money. Don't let them lie to you. They're making a lot of money out of their goats because they're self-sufficient. Obviously, they could have sold all the fodder and everything that they produce. They could have sold it. But me and you know that he's going to put a lot of value on top of that fodder that he put through his animals himself. So honestly, if you can do that, that's the way to go. Chris, we've been at your place. You are also planning to plant your own stuff. You already planted probably tomorrow, okay. So do you have something to add?
I think what I would say is that, again, your nutritionist comes in handy. Yes, animals feed different. South Africa is far more advanced than where we are. We have one jacket fits all kind of a situation. I don't know which company in Kenya today is dedicated to the shots. I don't believe there's any, and that was my frustration why I went into to start producing my own feeds. In South Africa, you get a salesperson coming in, they'll come with a nutritionist. If you have any farmer of note, they'll formulate everything for you. And that's why you can hear Jerry's talking about alarm creep and alarm this, alarm that. These are special. I remember going for another show, and this lady, she had a very good stand. I think it was Royal Agriculture in Maritzburg, and she said, this Burra goat eats a special pellet. And I asked her, what is it made of? And then she just said Lucerne and maize. So that's why I believe in Lucerne and maize, by the way. Lucerne and maize. She didn't say soya. And then I went to a couple of formulations which I have record of. And I can tell you it goes around Lucerne, maize, soya. Lucerne, maize, soya. So, well, we can talk of pak chong. We can talk. To me, is what they are good. They're not bad, by the way. I had a benefit of having an Egyptian who is a nutritionist who visited us, and he was talking a very different language than the South Africans. And Egyptians are good at it. I'm telling you, they're good at it. So it goes back to what do you have in your farm? The little I know. It is not my profession, by the way. I do a different business. I do this out of passion. And the little that I know and I'm learning is it begins with what you have, but also what you plant in your farm. It must have a representation of that total mix ratio. I think there's something William was trying to whisper to me here. I think you just share it, please.
I think what I was trying to share with him was a question that was posed by my friend there, whether we have feeds for each age. And one thing I'll tell you, when you say nutrition is 70% and that percent genetic, even if you have a full blood or a pure blood, or what you call a pure breed, and you don't feed it right, you're not going anywhere. So what happens is these animals communicate. If you are not a telephone farmer and you stay with your animals, you can tell their trajectory in terms of whether, pick some few animals. If you have 100 goats, you don't have to weigh all 100 goats. But group your animals according to classes and then track their weight. They are going to give you very credible feedback. Then their phenotype looks, they'll also tell you there's something they are missing or something. But basically, there is the baseline feeding. But what I have experienced is that protein is key. If your animals miss on protein, you're done. Then there are times of their age when they require a lot of energy. So basically, it is not a fix it all. It is more of a nut. You have to keep on moving a journey with your animals depending on the provisions. Then again, there was another question about Pangshong, about Kakamega, and all. I'm going to tell you the real experience, and I'm sure some of you can corroborate. When you take even the super napier we are having here in Kenya becoming very popular, you plant it in the river, and another person plants it in Malindi, and another person plants it in Nyeri, and another one in Eldoret. And then you take them for analysis. You're not going to get the same. So whenever I see people in WhatsApp group asking, what was the percentage? Please just pick that percentage for motivation. Those analyses differ according also to your soil type. Are we together? Yes. So if you find your crop analysis is low, think about enriching your soil. And you can also push your percentages up to get your crop protein.
Thank you, William. I just would like to add that what we've used in the past many years ago, they've stopped us, unfortunately, especially with the ostriches. We used fish meal instead of soybean oil cake. And the protein was so high, you couldn't believe it. But then our dear Mzungus in Europe, they started to complain. They said, we feeding animal protein. So I was never aware that a fish is an animal. But they wanted to crucify us with the ostriches. And obviously now, you know, I think even in your protocol, by the way, we should declare that they've never been fed with animal protein, animal whatever you want to call it. So it is now, it's one of your conditions. So my veterinarian will come, he will talk to my nutritionist, and they also know one another well. We live in a small community, and he will come there often, and he will not say a word, but if he finds a bag of fish meal, I mean, I might as well stop farming. So, yeah. Chris, one more chance for you, please. Oh, sorry. Sorry, William.
I'll tell you why I'm aware about that. So we stay away from, okay, yes, I have a job for, that's for chicken and pigs. I don't know whether it's allowed in pigs or chicken. They are not. Not muzungus. Yeah. Not animal to animal. So soya and I don't know what other plant protein is good as soya. Cowpeas, I don't think so. I think soya is top. No, sunflower is low. Yeah. Soya sits at almost 40%. The rest is way below. I can tell you, we tried, we tested. I can tell you, soya is top. Think about it. Yeah, but if you're going to have premium market, it's going to be plant protein. Maize is 10% protein, or maximum you get, 10%. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. Yeah. Yeah, it's energy, 10% protein. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one question here, just to fafanua a bit on sorghum. Haven't had you speak into sorghum. There's one they call sugar sorghum. Sugar, yeah, exactly. What's the value of that? Do you know? And its benefits. And then, secondly, silage is mostly used here for cows. What's your experience with silage on the sheep and the goats? And finally, oats. Is that protein or energy?
The other day, my technician, crop technician in one of the farms, talked about what you're saying. And somebody who asked, where do we get good people to employ? And these days I have a strict policy of employing NYS youth, National Youth Service. And there are thousands of them there. Recently they graduated 20,000. A lot of them have gone through agriculture. And they know all these things. I'm very surprised. I have Gladys seated at the back. Gladys, wave your hand. She's a breeder. Yeah? Gladys is from Marakwet County. She's the best shepherdess I have so far. And I can tell you, this gentleman told me about what you have exactly said. And he said he thinks sugar, I'm not an expert in that, sugar sorghum is better than maize. I don't know yet. So we are trying it on a 2-acre. And then we see what results we'll get. The others have not tried. Maybe the dairy farmers can tell us. Where is Mr. What do you call him? There's a gentleman who is a dairy farmer and he's doing all these things.
Just I want to mention something about sugar grass. The difference between using sugar grass for making silage and also making pachong or supernabia for making silage. For making silage from pachong or supernabia, you have to add molasses. Sometimes also you have to add microbes to limit the period for readiness. But with the sugar grass, you don't need to add the molasses because it has sugar content in it. That's the only difference. For sugar grass, you don't need to add the molasses because it has sugar. And what is also very important is the period when you are timing to cut it, when it forms that milk, not ready. If you make it ready, as if you are harvesting, just for harvesting for food, you don't get food. So when it forms the milk in it, that is the time you have to harvest the sugar grass for making the silage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Justice, your answer been answered. If I can just say that sugar grass will most probably also be more in the energy sector and not so much in protein. Excuse me, I've got one question, guys. Is there any one of you who has experience with goats, especially Boer goats and Savannah's Kalahari, with silage? The question has been asked to me. I don't have any experience on that. Where you feed them. I know that Dorper sheep and meat masters, they do pretty well on it, but we also know that goats are more finicky on their diet. Is anybody, oh, there we go. Thank you, William.
I think that is a good question. Mr. Gary, here in Kenya we have mainly two farming systems. We have those who have land, leisure of land, they are doing on free range, and we have those who are having the sedentary type, which is the zero grazing or paddocking. And Kenya was treated to almost 3 years drought experience. I think everybody experienced that. So people reverted to silage. And I'm one person who has used silage intensively. The only thing about feeding those animals, the shoats with, especially the goats with silage, it must be highest hygiene. If you get it wrong, you lose them. The other thing is ensure your animals are well vaccinated against enterotoxemia. So ensure your silage has a lot of, at the right stage of the milk stage. And also don't allow the lavage plant part of it to be overgrown. You'll get it right. And they do very well, and especially for lactating mothers, it is a milk booster. But don't give at leisure. Just like 250 grams times the number of animals spread in the trough, and then mix with hay. The other thing I warn you, don't feed silage early in the morning. Start with dry matter like hay. Then after they have accumulated a bit of it in the stomach, you can introduce silage. Because especially from sugar grass, somehow they can irritate their stomach. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you cut the silage, especially if you're going to use it for the small ruminants, do you cut it smaller than you would do it for a cattle? Is it like smaller, or do they eat it and then from there on, you know, they will just swallow the smaller pieces?
That's a very good question. I have seen there is a wave in this country, especially dairy farmers, going for machines that are shopping or chopping. Yes, chopping into small sizes. I can tell you for cows, they don't need that small size. Actually, you are denying them the ability to chew the cud, and it's dangerous. They can accumulate and settle in the stomach, in the rumen, and you have a big problem. For goats, you refine a bit to the extent that, I don't know how I call it, 4 inches or something like that, but don't refine it to flat, like, because it needed to resuscitate again and do the carding again.
Thank you so much. This is really valuable information. What we also do, and this is just in our case, if we move animals from one diet to the other, or from, we don't use silage, but if we move them in whichever way, we always vaccinate against pulpy kidney. Pulpy kidney is cheap, and guys, I think in all over the world, there's so many animals that just perish because of pulpy kidney. It is cheap, and make it like a point every time when you move them to whatever grazing, vaccinate them against pulpy kidney. The book will tell you can do it once a year. I think we do it every 3 months. And you know, it is just, yeah, we have good results. Yes, sorry. Wisdom, where are you? Wisdom, did you fall asleep?
My question goes
Sorry,
to...
Wisdom slept in the car last night. He was landing at 12 o'clock, and then they traveled from Nairobi to here, and the car broke down, and he slept in the car for 3 hours or something like that. And he only arrived here just before breakfast, so you can understand that he's a bit tired. Thank you, Wisdom.
He's a strong man. He's better than us, some of us. Well done. Now, my question again to our feed master here. I would like to know, all the feeds that you've mentioned are protein-based. You haven't mentioned anything concerning feeds that you can give that may be natural, that can actually build bone mass. Because if an animal is heavy and the bones are weak, the animal is useless. But if the animal is heavy and the bones are strong, or we can supplement something to increase the bone mass, then that animal is more or less perfect. So, is there anything that you've done to increase the bone mass as while you're increasing the, the normal mass of the animal.
Just quickly, what you just said, we've experienced in the ostrich industry, like really severe. Look, when an ostrich in South Africa, adult birds, they weigh around about 140 kgs. In the beginning, when we started with ostriches to feed them intensively, we fed them broiler feed, and they grow fast. But the bone structure didn't last. What we then did, and that I can really strongly recommend. We've analyzed the feed, and we came to the conclusion that since the feed is so, we call it hot, they grow extremely fast, but the bone structure can't carry them, and they've got only 2 legs. So, as you know, it is difficult. If one leg, if there's a problem with one leg, they're out. I mean, might as well kill them. So then we went to the same nutritionist, and we've told him, you better save this industry. We are in deep trouble here. So he said, you guys don't listen what I'm saying. And I said, hey, wait, stop. Let's not blame one another here. Just help us. So the pharmacist said, okay, I tell you what I will do. I will do a lick. Vitamins, minerals, trace elements, everything in a bag. I'll do a lick. That will help you, because he says, you guys created a deficiency by feeding the animals the way that you do. And he created a lick, and I can still remember, I took it to Thailand once, and they had terrible leg problems. Look, the legs is completely deformed, because of the fact that the animals grow so fast. Look, broilers in South Africa, they slaughter when they're 5 weeks old, and some of them can't even walk anymore. So they don't care a thing about the bone structure. It is just about the muscle that they should put on. So eventually he manufactured the lick, and we use the lick in a different form in a different formulation, also for a small stock. When they will run into the kraal at night, and some of them will not even look at the lick if they don't need it. If they need it, they will take 1 or 2 big fools, and they will, that's it. Sometimes for a week they will not touch it. Some of the animals, the ones that needs it, they will go directly to the lick, and they will take if they need. It is a matter of having your diet balanced. I think that is important, guys. As I said, if it's not balanced, and it will be very good if you send your diets to South Africa, I will arrange for you, that they should check it. Because the important thing is that, yes, you can, feed them wrongly, but it's gonna cost you money. If you feed them stuff that is not needed, they will just sort of, it will just come out with the dung, and they will not. There is just so much that they can use. So that is also important, and it would be very nice to hear what they say if they have a look at your analysis. Yes.
I think, guys, you've talked more, and I'm happy that he's honest, he's trying. I've told you I went to study in a research center in Pakistan about fodder. And in South Africa, there's a lady, I think Antonite, she makes the feed, and she even exposed it to some people in Malindi. And she's given me formula. I think we need to work out, because that feed, Mr. Gary, Propas, HPK, those are the concentrates which are supposed to be in this food. Propas and HPK, okay? And they put molasses meal. I'll give you a formula which I went to the lady and she's given me. And in fact, we're doing the same. I'm getting the machine. Because the right food, and 1 ton, HPK is 50 kilos, Propas is 50 kilos, Lucerne Crush is 250 kilos, Soya Hulls is 120 kilos, molasses meal, which you get it in South Africa, and it's in the food, is 120 kilos. And, my friend, maize meal is 410 kilos, the yellow maize. So I'll share the formula. It's for the benefit of the farmers. And I'm soon going to manufacture. I told you there are different type of mills. Mr. Gary should also tell you, for the lamb, for the pregnant mothers and for the sick. So we need to improve, and we'll work together, and I'll share it with you, because I've personally been into this thing. Mr. Gary, if you can get from the feed manufacturers, we need Propas and HPK and the formula so that we can join hands and make sure that we give them good feed. Because trust me, good feed is good growth. I'm not trying to say, but it's practically I've learned about this, and we'll share it, my brother. As a leader, I want to assist Kenya. We are far, far, far behind.
So now, I've told you this before, and you should understand that there is no ways on earth that a nutritionist, wherever in the world, is going to give you all his formulations. He also needs to have bread on the table. So what he wants to do, he wants to sell his concentrates. So he will do the formulations, but you have to purchase the concentrates from him. So, you know, I can go to Farnes and he will laugh at me. He doesn't even give it to me. So there's no ways that I can get the formulations. Yes, I can get the raw material that he used. That's easy. But I don't know what is in his concentrates. And that is the point. There is no way that he's going to give it to me. I would have never given it to anybody. This is his bread and butter. So if we send any stuff to him, I will see that you get the results. And I will also see that he works on what you have available. As a gentleman just said, the availability, and if you, for example, if you have some other a problem with, say, soybean oil cake, then he will have a look at sunflower oil cake, of whatever you have available. But one should, you know, on a regular basis, let him, you know, do whatever is needed for you guys to feed it. Yes, Lisa.
They can go and have a look on the YouTube video about the nutrition.
That's right.
Farnes will see his face. He's doing nutrition on YouTube.
Wisdom, can you just get that link for them, please? Go and have a look at the... Okay, we will do it tomorrow. Good. There is a lot of supplements that he also discussed. With Oki, my son-in-law, they've made this video with him. He's honestly a specialist, you know, but what helps a lot is he's a practical guy. He will help you. If you tell him, listen, Frans, I've got this and that, but I don't have that, he will work around it. I've seen diets that he made, you know, that he compiled for people where they have, I thought all they have is like a rice straw. But they've worked around it and they've made a plan, and eventually they got, you know, successful diets. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I would like you to take me a bit through on daring the kids, especially one day old to around 1 month.
Should I do it? If I understand your question correctly, what you should feed the kids when they are up to 1 month?
No, management, because sometimes you find that they die of diarrhea. So can you just take me through what do you give them?
Let me rather hear what they do in your country, because I can give you a lot of our suggestions. And that is why what I said, the sooner they start eating these small pellets, the less diarrhea and stuff you have. So they don't drink so much milk anymore. You understand? Let me just give you a simple example. After so many years, and I grew up with the animals, we had those here triplets, and they were beautiful, really beautiful. We've weighed them. I can't remember what the weight was. Then once I walked into the maternity ward, and I saw that these two, and they were like 2 weeks old already. They're not like they should be. Their mother had so much milk that she produced a lot of cholesterol, a lot. They couldn't finish it. They couldn't finish it. And she kept on producing cholesterol for too long. And her udder was like filled up with cholesterol. Normally, she would have stopped, you know, after maximum 36 hours and produce milk. She did not. And then the kids, like, there was like an obstruction, a compaction. They couldn't get the stuff out. It is like very sticky, as you know. So they couldn't get it out. And we had to give them enemas and, you know, you name it, and we've lost one. It's very good quality kids, so I didn't want to lose one. But we've lost one. Because the stomachs stopped. And they kept on drinking milk, and I thought, you know, that could not be the problem. But what we do now, when we have a dough that produces so much milk, we will, after 36 hours, we empty it. Completely empty it. On the floor if you want, or in a bucket. We empty it, and then they will definitely produce milk and not the cholesterol anymore. Because they can just drink it for so long. Their intestines is not developed to keep on drinking cholesterol. So this is just a small example. I mean, even I made the mistake after you know, so many years. Now it's now a standard procedure. You know, after 36 hours, we empty it completely.
There's no textbook answer to that. It's your management. And I'll tell you, just like you were saying, give you an example of numerous examples. But the quality of your hearts person, I have a hearts girl there. The quality of the people we employ determines a lot. Because they're able to judge. I remember one time going to class, she's telling me, this one has too much milk, we go to milk it. And then this one has very little milk, we go to supplement. So you hold another back door, and you force it, the one which has more milk, you force this kid to circulate. And that management depends on the quality of people you have on the ground. I've shed premium tears because of my guys. I'm telling you, you cry, you go, you just cry. And you know, there were genuine mistakes. I'm telling you, the people you employ, and that's why I'll still advertise. I will tell you, there are enough trained youth in this country, but you're not taking advantage because you want cheap labor. Cheap is expensive. If you've heard that. Cheap is expensive. Get somebody who is semi-trained. Get a diploma level to be your overall. Go, if you don't have an idea where to get NYS youth, talk to us. We will take you to the director of deployment. And they are very good, interesting young people who have been in paramilitary training for 5 years, and they have been trained in agriculture. They know livestock management. So they have the foundation. But then we want to rely on the old traditional. We have a problem. Come on, they are there. So when you see your president pass out parade of 20,000 youth, where do you think they are going? Do you know they are going to Israel? The other day Israel took 3,000 of them. Then the other day Saudi Arabia came and they took I don't know how many. And they are going to work in agricultural farms. What are we doing ourselves? We want to rely on those illiterate guys. And there's nothing wrong with being illiterate. But let me tell you, if you're going to keep premium animals, employ premium shepherds and people to look after them. To me, that I have paid a price for that. I've paid. Serious. Yeah, I've paid a price. So I know. Yeah, thank you.
I've got a young guy on the farm. He's excellent. He's just excellent. Wisdom met him, and I think it's only you, Luwayne. He's like a walking encyclopedia. You can ask him for a specific kid, and I'm very strict on that, a specific kid, who's his mother, who's his father, without looking in the ears. Who was the grandmother, the grandfather, and the great-grandmother, and the grandfather, and you have to stop him eventually. Please stop it now. And he will tell you which one we've sold, and I told you we shouldn't sell it. But you insisted we're going to sell it. So we've sold it. And you've seen now in the show, another farmer, he beat us on the show with our own dough, because you've sold it. And he will carry on like this. But he knows exactly the pedigree that I've shown you here. It's unbelievable. Sometimes I am, checking him, and I think sometimes, no, this is impossible now. And I stop him, and I will then just get the pedigree from the office, and I will turn right, go ahead. And only once in many, many years could I catch him. Only once. And then he said, yeah, you're 100% right. But what happened is that doe that you've shown me now, she lost the tag. I said, yeah, and what did you do then? He said there was 2 does that lost their tags. I said, yes. He said, and you, sir, you've decided this one, it looks like his father, we should put one tag. We found the tags in the pen, but 2 of them lost their tags. Now we've got a double check system. And you said that one is, that tag belongs to that goat, and that one, that is what you decided. I said, what did you say? He said, I differ from you. I still differ from you. He said, and that's why I know the pedigree of the right goat. You've put the wrong tag in. So, that's so valuable, you can't imagine. And the same with the people at the back there are really, I'm proud to hear that you guys are doing such a good job. It's fantastic. That is, and in each and every country, guys, the potential in the stockmanship, it's everywhere. We should just find it. As I've told you, I've got a young guy, he's doing night shift. He's from Malawi. He was useless. He was really useless. I said, no, he's clueless. Now, he's the kingpin. Everything is around him. In the afternoon, he starts late afternoon and works until early morning, and then he goes home, night shift. Thank you to everybody. I see that our dear host is, really starting to growl here at us. And thank you to the panel. I think it was really successful, and the way that people shared. And I'm proud of you guys. Thank you so much. It is really, to me, it's heartwarming to see how people share. And that is what I wanted to see and to want to accomplish, that you guys should support one another. I mean, you are in your child's shoes. Please support one another. And when you have the association and everything that works well, I would love to come back some other day and see how good you're going to do, or how well you're going to do, because this is really a great start, I think. Okay, like we're going to be 1 hour or 4 hours now. That's, we have no option. No, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. I'm finished. I've got nothing more to say.
Okay, thank you. Why are you here? Why are you here? Yeah? Whenever I talk to my team, Passion first. Okay, to make some money. Okay. So when you go to church and the bishop preaches there, you either become born again, get converted, and you go home with the word and you become a practicing person. Is it? Yeah. I just want to say something a bit on the perspective, the Kenyan perspective. We must congratulate South Africa because it's like the claddolad of the pedigrees we are discussing. Go to Europe, go to America, go to wherever, UK. Actually, even they are forgetting the animals. You go to UK, they have forgotten they had Suffolk. They are now talking about Doppers and Boas. So we are talking and we are partnering with the right people. So I wanted us to look at why are we doing this kind of thing. There is a question that was posed by, you remember him struggling to explain why I want to start, I want to do this. If I ask how many people want to start, how many, just see that, how many people want to start farming? How many? Actually, just be proud of that. How many? Look back, look around. All of you, look around. Let me tell you, the first opportunity I got in this, me, I'm brought up with animals and like that. But there is one thing I'm going to tell you. Mine was passion, then it became more of a hobby, then the hobby graduated to become an enterprise. And when it starts like that, do you know what? You find yourself just going around the same dream. Even if there is drought, you want to be consistent. You want to be persistent. There is no way you are going to say, I want to start this venture because your neighbor is starting. Listen to your heartbeat. Because those animals, you are not going to invest your money, put live animals there and delegate to your workers. You must lead from the front. When I visited 12, 13 years ago to South Africa, I had gone there to do a course. But as the airplane was landing, I realized there are so many white animals that looked big. And the guy who was seated to me was South African. He was telling me, no, those are animals, those are animals. When I finished what I was doing in South Africa, I said I want to remain behind. Luckily enough, the first farm I went to belonged to someone who had stayed in Kenya as a rancher. So talking of a person who was here way back in 1993 and is doing better there, you can imagine. And then I'm going to benchmark, but most of the animals he had were brought from or Pajeta Ranch. You remember that story about the Borans? Yeah. So what I'm simply saying, I run a small farm. I'm going to say a herbal farm. We call it Acacia Veld. Acacia, we have trees called Acacia in Laikipia. And even in Kajiado here, thorny trees, you remember? Then Veld is a South African name for the Malishoni. So when I say my company is called Acacia Veld, but one thing I wanted it to do, I'm not talking about my farm, but I just want to say a bit of it. One thing I wanted to do for this country, one, I wanted to make money. I will not lie on that one. But I had seen there is a gap. I had seen there is a gap because we have DOPA here, but the DOPA we have, let's just use DOPA to analyze ourselves. We had a DOPA that was taking almost 2 years before you call the butcherman to come and buy. And they come and press the lips like this and they say this one is not having meat. And the much you could get was 5,000. We had a DOPA that was producing a kid that is 2 kg. And even today they are still producing those that are still native. We had a DOPA that was not producing enough milk, and even if it by any chance got twins, you would lose either both or one. We had a DOPA that could not get the market weight we are looking at. But then I said, if I can go to South Africa and I found there is a DOPA looking or resembling the Kenyan one, but going for over 100 kg, I always see people in Facebook asking, is it a cow? They say it in ng'ombe. DOPAs are going to even 130 kilos. I have a ram that goes around 117, 118, and not one. Those who have come to my farm have seen them. Just us. Have you seen them? Yeah. So what we are talking about is actually we are struggling. Now, Kenya is having a lot of meat demand, and they are only looking for what? 25 live weight, so that you get around 12.5 kg. You know, live weight divided by 2 plus or minus. But now I am struggling that I cannot even go for meat if I want to go for meat because my animals, by the time I win at 3 months, they are already above 12.5 kg. So I can only sell it as milk meat. You know milk meat? That meat that you cannot even boil. So you have to allow it even to feed on pastures, and by the time it finishes, the pasture is hitting 58, 54 kg. So we are talking of let's put the right genetics so that at least we are able to hit the market at the right time. Let's have fast-growing animals. Let's have animals that are highly prolific. Prolific means ability to give birth to multiple and feed them, meaning it has ability to produce enough milk to feed the young ones. And then we are talking of an animal that is, at least breeding is an art, and that's what we are saying. Don't put DOPAs in a place you know they won't survive. Please understand your locality. Because I have had so many people, if you ask them, I want to start goat or sheep farming, where are you located? Those are the questions I always ask you. Because have you done a baseline survey whether the animal can do better? Have you visited your local vet to discuss about the suitability of that area? Even in DOPAs, I can tell you I have discovered DOPAs are doing better for natural grazing. In places you find there's ash soil. You know that soil that looks like white? We have areas in Narok, we have areas here in the river, Kapiti, and we have a bit of it in Laikipia. You are going to find those are the places, with little effort, those animals are doing better. You're not going to put an animal in an area that is going to struggle. But what I wanted to encourage us, because I can see majority are starters, please, it doesn't matter the type of land that you have. You adopt the right system. If you have a small space, you can go for zero grazing. If you have 2-3 acres, you can go for paddocking. If you have big land, you can go for free range. But one trick, those animals will not give you the weight we are discussing if you leave them to the rains and the pastures. Those who have ever visited my place, my small herbal farm, you find that they are hanging troughs. So even when they are sleeping, they get some feed in the trough. So it is feeding in the wilderness. My animals are hardened, they go to graze in the free range. But in the evening, they'll still get something to eat. That is the only way to sustain the weight gain we are discussing. The other thing is, don't start with what we call kienyeji. Mr. Gary, kienyeji means the native. Because let me ask you, we have a superhighway. We brag we have Thika superhighway, is it? You have the right to overtake and arrive a little bit ahead of another person, right? But you have to be careful and disciplined, otherwise you cause a mess and accidents. The same thing. If you wanted to start and you are in the benefit of this kind of thing, don't go to the market where animals are being sold for meat. That one I'll give you a caveat. Why I would want to put my animals on a rope and ferry them to the market is either because it's not performing, it is sick, has just recovered, or tumekunywa damu. Ni kweli? Yeah, we are facing it as Kenyans. So what I'm simply saying, please, I'm giving you tips. You wanted to start Idopa today, for example. You wanted to start with the boas, for example, and you don't have those money to go and get the import. You can go to a breeder or to a farmer who has at least advanced from F1, F2 like that, and get those animals, so at least you are not starting from the forest. Because the native, you don't even know whether it was a cross or a multiple cross of what. And that's why we are not getting anywhere, because starters, they always tell me, I went to a certain market, got myself 20 does, now I want you to bring me the bag. Actually, you're subjecting that bag to a lot of backward confusion genetically. So go from a start because you have the benefit. That's why you have the privilege of overtaking. The other thing, there are farmers, and you remember even Kenya, you have so many ranchers, just like in South Africa, who even brought toppers a long time ago and they have been maintaining the line. At some point, they do some culling. And it is not the negative culling. They do, for example, even in South Africa, I have been approached by breeders telling me, I wanted to cull all those that have given birth to 4 times. Full teeth, functional, full mouth, that is, and they have given me service for 4 births. Now you can go and mutumire risasi ya mwisho. That is another way of cutting, so long as you get them from credible sources. That means you are going to cut the time you would have improved your animals from F1 to pure breed. Okay? The other thing we are missing in this country, in as much as the government has lagged behind in supporting farmers, we have power in our hands. Like, for example, even the South African breed we are talking about, there's what we call the stud bank. The stud bank is where farmers in a certain locality can establish the same restructuring system of their farms and agree to import a ram, have it on record, and have it rotate among the farmers. So that the next season, once it can go, and then you can bring another one and you can keep on rotating. And that can be cost effective and progressive. Otherwise, if you say you are going to just be alone and you are going to walk alone, will you go anywhere? At some point, you'll have to find yourself stranded. And we can be having the bargaining power. We can have this debate in terms of fetching the amount of money we want. But the problem with most of us, we wanted to have silos. We wanted to have that mentality of, I want to move alone, I know what I'm doing. But there is always a caveat as well. There is no way I'm going to give you my ram. If I come to your kraal or your kyugu for that matter, and I find your animal sleep in mud, the whole feet are sunk into the mud. My ram won't come to your place. So let's uplift the standard. Let's start with the right things, checklist, structures, utilities like water, temperatures, moderations, feeding, right genetic, then you are right for takeoff. I think I'll stop there. But In my family, I don't have a bedroom. You come, I'll take you out, I'll allow you to go everywhere you want. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I can say passion and consistency have turned my dreams true. If you have a calculator, last year alone, I'm not bragging because I don't have the money, I'm very broke by there today. I sold 117 rams times 45,000. Do you have a calculator? 117 times 45,000. No, it's okay. It's okay. So, and our small farm takes pride to have given out more than 600 animals in terms of the sires for all those years. And I have also groups at the Kaisa project, the World Bank project, who have been breeding my animals. I was contracted to supply them with animals. So if you do it right, and I have also extended the program this way. I have some farmers I'm grooming, and I have farmers I've put in my network. If you import the ram and you maintain the standards and records, every time I receive an order that I cannot handle, I'm always proud to associate your farm with mine. So that is the spirit. Let's uplift all of us, and we'll get where we want to go. And the future is bright. Thank you.
Let me agree with him. I needed to add some doppers, and he sent me to Olepere in Narok. I bought 10 of them. And currently, they are giving birth to twins. Just last night, they gave birth to twins, one of them. Then a friend of mine who is a governor, I told him about it, and he went and swept 50. 50. That's how good they are. And he's the one who set up that farmer. But what is a Boer goat? A Boer goat is based on these guys called Afrikaners. A Boer is a Dutch descendant who settled in Africa. And I think Jerry and his wife are very typical of them. He's a Boer. Yeah? They developed the goat. They developed the goat at the turn of the century, 1900. And in 1993, this goat was introduced into America. And today, there are about, I don't know, dozens of associations. American, Iowa, Carolina, California, Israel, Australia, Boer Goat Association. We are going to start ours, Henley, isn't it? And let me tell you, how was it developed? It was indigenous goats, which were branded, and they kept on perfecting. So, as Kenyans, what are we aspiring to develop out of this breed? Now it's very pure. Then, can we get a composite? To me, I love this game. I'm in it because of passion, as he says, and I know it will become an enterprise because it is turning out to be one. And yeah, we are in it for the marathon. Thank you.
Maybe allow me just to say one thing. I normally import livestock from South Africa, and I have been doing it more consistently, mostly for our farmer and I would say designated or dedicated farmers. That means, like the ranchers, even some of them are South African. Now they tell me, William, just go and get me like 20 does and this kind of stuff. And then we follow the procedure that is supposed to be followed to bring the animals. But you find, if we are not careful, we have to have the standards he was talking about. We have to maintain standard. Otherwise, we are going to go backward because you have no business bringing an animal that is classified like a T1. That is even, our animals are more than T1. I think I saw him visiting some farmers and he saw that.
We're not allowed to sell T1s.
Yeah.
We're only allowed to sell T3s.
Yeah, but you may find them trickling. So the other thing, Mr. Gary, as our expectation, these people, they have also an expectation to acquire those pedigrees. Me and another person cannot satisfy the demand for their pedigrees they are looking for. How are you going to make these animals affordable? Because our undoing with the kind of inflation we are having in Kenya is the prices are unbearable. So we hope you'll fix that for us.
I'm definitely not going to make you any promises. I'm not, the exchange rate is not in my hands. I will give you quality animals, and you should decide if they are affordable or not. But there is no ways that I can make you any promises. As I said, you know, we export to many countries, and the prices should be competitive. But one thing that I can assure you, you're going to get quality. But But that's a topic for tomorrow. We will. I just quickly, guys. I'm sorry that I don't have enough caps, but I would like to. I'd like to give the three. The three people that are still here with me on the panel. I'm gonna give them all caps for their effort. I've got one. Did I give you one? Okay, I gave you one. That's right. So then, I'm sorry that we don't have enough. You can just carry so much on the plane. Anything else, Henry, for today? Okay, I'm going to give it to you. Oh, sorry, Chris.
I think, really because of time, I think people are tired, but I'll just abridge my conversation. I was called here as a panel to discuss a quick one on policy issues and possible resolution or solutions to those issues. I'll do it in 2 minutes, or if more, 5 minutes. And no questions, by the way. These are no questions. Problems that we as farmers have are common, so you don't need even to think about it. We think about scarcity of water, we think about pasture, we think about quality of herds. We also have issues of climate change. Every time you have your breed, next it goes. One major thing is undeveloped breeding or undeveloped breed. I want you to mark that because solution sits with us. Then there is the issue of management of livestock. And then one major, which again you should mark, is poor marketing and trade. Now I'll ask a few questions, and those questions lead us to the solutions that the association have to work on. Okay? I'm trying to summarize the whole thing. The government have done a lot of interventions on behalf of farmers. One is, you have heard of Cherry Fund. You have heard of Cherry Fund. It's for who? For farmers. Dairy Board, Tea Fund, Pyrethrum Fund, Cotton Fund, subsidized fertilizer, fishery support with the nets, and where are the small ruminants fund? Okay? I mean, small ruminants is us now. The goat, the dopper. Where is the fund? That's question number one. We have EPZ, we have SEZ for every other production in Kenya. Where is the SEZ and EPZ of livestock milk producers? I'm asking these questions just to trigger some sensitization about policy and the legal legislative frameworks that are not working at all for you, whatever breed you bring into this country, unless we come together and fix those things. Is this thinking? Tuko pamoja? So one thing is, it will be tackled at 2 levels. Who should do that? That's another question. What are the legal, legislative, and policy framework around small ruminants, the sheep, the goat, and so on, including the rabbits, for those who have rabbits? The thing is, it's forgotten. So what do? We must now advocate through this association or cooperative to fight for these policies and legislative framework to be put in place ASAP, as soon as possible. This can be done at 2 levels. One, county level. There are things which are devolved at the county level that must be done. The people we chose, I'm sorry if there is any representative of the people chosen to represent people at the county or the national government level are here, but zero work for small ruminant farmers. Zero. Nobody knows. Nobody talks. So one thing is we need an urgent, rapid result intervention by ourselves. Since you have no advocate to talk for you, the advocacy should come from us by forming this association, pursue the policies, pursue the legal framework, seek funding, and that means actually being on the table than being under the table. Most of the times we are not on the table discussing what we need. We are under the table and other people are discussing issues for us. What does it mean? Policy statements are being done on budget every June. June is coming. Do we have a statement to make us the farmers for goats and sheep, to actually place what we need the government to include in the budget statement? Those are the kind of direction we need to take. Because again, with due respect, bring all the breeds with the supportive infrastructure, policies, not supporting. Where are we going? We definitely will not get far. Just an example. One first governor among the first devolution actually did this without naming names. He told every farmer who has more than 1 acre to register, and fund was put aside to do a dam in that farm. Who knows? You might know for those who come from that region, but every farmer has a dam with a liner in the shamba they have. What ended up? High production. Why can't the farmers, animals in Kajiado die of water scarcity during drought, and yet there are drilling machines, the borehole water table is there, and 1 billion is enough to put up dams in each and every farm from Bisil Namanga to here in Konza. Those are the kind of conversations that we need to do. Why shouldn't there be funds set aside by counties or at the national level to support startup sheep and goat farmers to fund their initial capital injection to start an enterprise, as long as the business case is viable? I might talk and talk, but the issues are there that needs to be supported, but the only solution, we must set up that association that will advocate, that will stand up, identify all the issues at county level, at national level, and push the agenda for the DOPA and sheep farmers. Thank you very much.